by looking at what we discussed. Tree, did you want to fill us in on how your experience with searching is going so far and what's going on?
Okay, so we started with our concept map, and I don't know, maybe you want to, maybe I could share my screen so you could
Yep,
see.
that would
Yeah.
be excellent. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Oop, just give me a moment.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time.
Yeah, not quite sure how to do this. I did it before. Uh,
Bottom of your screen, a little tab saying,
there we go.
okay, good.
Yeah, share screen. Yeah, I had to go to full screen to do that.
I see. Okay.
Share. Okay, share.
Yep, it says started sharing. Okay, very good.
Can you see my concept map?
I can. We can see a concept
Oh,
map. Yeah.
okay, so first, because we were looking at post-COVID, we used
Yeah.
the filters 2020 and to 2021
Yeah.
for our articles. English language, we have that option to select that in Web of Science, and
Right.
also to exclude uh, extraneous material and to use Web of Science only. Now, I starred those because we haven't actually excluded or used those filters yet. We wanted to see what we would get language-wise and other things as well.
Good
Uh,
idea.
we were a little bit not unclear, I guess you would say, about long-term care, the term long-term care and what we would be looking at. So not sure if we're talking about a physical building or if we're talking about that continuum of care.
We were, well, okay. So just to clarify, we were talking about the physical building because in the continuum of care, there is restrictions, though recommended, are not mandatory and people aren't held hostage to social and public health decisions. So specifically with relationship to the building, but thank you for thinking of alternatives as well. I think that's a good place to start.
Okay, so we kind of grouped our searches according to, like in our concept map here. I don't know if I can scroll down. Yes, I can.
Yeah,
So we looked, of course, for a lot of different terms, as many as we could, but we grouped them for our searches. So under technology, as an example, we started with more umbrella terms, the technology, electronic, computer, digital. And then we started with, then we did another search with devices. So robot, iPad, tablet, laptop, computer, assistive devices, cell phone, smartphone, telephone, social, and so on. We also added words as we went along. So Geron technology was a word we came across. Age tech was another one. Robo pets, Mario, Pero, bedside digital conversational agent. And then we switched to apps. So apps or platforms like Skype, virtual reality, FaceTime, WhatsApp, video chat. So these were separate groups within technology that we used with the other searches.
okay.
So I just highlighted, where we kind of switched off. The social isolation, we basically did the same thing. We looked up a lot of different terms that were synonyms for isolation and social isolation, but we also thought of conditions that people might experience or ill health that they might experience as a result of social isolation, so mental health issues.
Right.
And also quality of life. And in here we added, leisure activity, like things they might do to um, kind of overcome social isolation.
Yeah.
And then with long-term care, as I explained, what we weren't sure if we were just looking at the buildings, the physical buildings,
Right.
or
The
yeah,
continuum. Yeah.
the continuum. We also added a fourth in some of our searches, the idea of older adult, because again, we weren't sure if we were talking about a building or the continuum. So we added this fourth piece about older adults. And I will let, I guess, Momina talk about 3 of our searches that were kind of very interesting to us.
Sorry, quick question, Tree. Anisha's asking the question, did you use the term long-term care homes? And because I assume you use, like under the broad groupings, you used each of the individual search terms during your concept maps, right? Did you use the term long-term care homes itself?
Yes.
You
yes.
did, okay.
So the ones on top, we used all of those as well.
Okay, thanks. All right, Momina, all yours.
May I just ask thank you, Christian. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the flow.
It's all good.
I just had thank you. Just a couple of quick questions here. In terms of, so these are the keywords that you used in Web of Science, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And can you just remind me of the research question that you were focusing on?
Yep.
If you could, please. Thank you.
It's here somewhere.
Thank you, Tree.
I had it handy a moment ago. Oh, here it is. So the question is the role of technology in alleviating social isolation in long-term care, COVID and beyond.
Okay. The question, I understand that you've got the parameter for age, for 20 to 2021, but did you think that perhaps you might want to look a little bit earlier than that? I recognize that, this is specific to COVID, but wondering if we could learn something from previous pandemics as at least in the search strategy, meaning that we obviously know that this is the pandemic that the whole world is obviously going through, but there have been previous pandemics. So, for example, in 2009, 2010, there was the H1N1 that hit the globe. Maybe we didn't hear about it. And some other ones are SARS-1 or MERS later on as just recent examples. Maybe the literature in those settings might give us, at the very least, some indication of ways to look at. I recognize there's a technology component, but my only concern is maybe the age, the timelines for the years might be a bit restrictive, because we're recognizing it's COVID, but we may learn from previous pandemics as well.
Yeah, we did consider that, and if that's one thing we need to look at, then no problem, we will do that. We did find a lot of literature though in that time frame. But yeah, sure. We could even add perhaps COVID specific, SARS-1 specific, MERS specific. We could even add another column.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how many you found, and I don't know what a lot is, but that's just something that we want to certainly consider, and you're probably going to answer it. But that was just my first inclination, is the time frame. Thank you.
Thanks, Baireen. I think it's a good idea. It all depends on what our starting point is. If you're having 2,000, 3,000 articles that you have to read titles and abstracts to select or discard, then perhaps not so great. But if you're like at 100, 150 articles, I think it's worth it to go and check with the other pandemics too, because at that point, there might be more precedent. Some of these, the good thing about going back that far back is many of these papers are already triangulated, vetted. You'll see lots of citations, and it's kind of helpful. The stuff we're getting out of COVID now, there's a lot of desperation publication too that's going on. So we actually, it's a hard guess. You're relying on the reputation and the attachment of the principal author to the topic and to the subject to kind of make a good choice on what's reliable evidence and what's not, right? Anyway, sorry, but I love the concept map. I think it's very, very comprehensive, Trey. I think it's really, really good. I think both you and Momina have made a lot of effort. I'm going to let Momina say her piece because I know she's going to talk about the searches. So go ahead, Momina.
Do you want me to share the screen, or do you want me to just generally give you like the number and just the brief.
It's entirely up to you. I mean, I think the sharing of the screen, the advantage is it kind of, if you have any screenshots of what your search looks like, and that would be nice. But if you don't have it, then if you can tell us the numbers, that would also be good. I can take notes. Do you have any screenshots of your searches or things that you saved?
I have the screen open.
Okay, so let's take a look
We
then.
went over that not too long ago.
Okay, good.
So I'll just try and share it here.
Yep.
Can you
it's
see
sharing.
that?
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this is what my search history is. So the first one that we did was tree 56, right? This one was our first one.
That's correct.
So this is the one that we found, and then these were like the terms that we used. So there were 3 different rows. And so this is kind of what like showed up. Here, I'm sorry, it's just a little slow.
That's okay.
Oh, I went away somewhere. Okay. Never mind about that. And now my search is gone. But we do have it linked in our little tree, made a little shared document. And
Yep.
we have like our little like we keep track of everything that we've been doing.
Okay,
And
good.
so we do have it like pasted in there.
Okay,
I'm just gonna stop share for a minute here.
that's fine.
So yeah, so we do have like we have it copied and pasted, like whatever, how we searched it and everything. And then if we ever need to go back, we'll just gonna go from there. That way we kind of know like what we have to do and what we could change and what we could like add or like exclude and include and things like that.
So have you started reading the titles and the abstracts yet?
We
Yes.
did a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so can you, what's the flavor? What is the sense that you're getting from what you're reading?
What do you mean? Sorry.
So you've read a bunch of titles.
Mhm.
What does it read like? Like how? So let's be very specific with questions. How acutely is the problem affecting long-term care? What are previous methods that used to be used to mitigate social isolation? That's obviously been affected due to limited visits. What are the different strategies people are using? What are the behavioral challenges people are seeing for older adults in this situation? I guess that's we'll start with those 4. I think that's a lot, but
So we didn't get quite that in depth in the papers. Like we didn't read the
yeah,
papers.
no.
We did notice that social robots are becoming. There's a lot of research on social robots,
Okay.
and we did also note that iPad, Skype, video chat, video conferencing is being focused on for that. So those are like I would say if there were 2 things. Also telephone calls. Like just regular landline telephone calls are another way that they're trying to alleviate social isolation. So those are, I would say, would you say, Momina, that that's the sense that we're getting, that people are really studying those 3 things?
Yeah, that one came up a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good, because one of the things you may not have done just yet, because you have all these different search terms and a whole bunch of hits for each set of terms, is have you put them all into, have you looked, like you probably haven't started sorting for duplicates and stuff yet, right?
Not yet, no. We
No,
were just
okay.
kind of trying to see like what term would give us what like search result. And
So it's still in the search phase. Okay, that's fine. The suggestion I would have is there is a shared folder for 4096 with the entire class where you should dump in your findings, your papers. But what I would suggest before that is, since you are all on Mendeley now, make one folder just for your team. So Momi Tree team has a folder. Put all your different search results into there as a .ris or whatever is a different format it accepts. I think it takes 3 or 4 different formats. When you put them all in, what it'll automatically do is it'll tell you that there are 200 duplicates. Do you want me to merge them? And then when you do that, you're not manually looking for duplicates.
Okay.
So it'll get rid of duplicates because you have these combination of search terms. It's a guarantee that you will have duplicates.
Mm-hmm.
And the fastest way to get rid of them is to export your search results into Mendeley and put them all, dump them into one folder, call it whatever you want. And then the duplicates are gone. And now you have stuff that you're not duplicating as you start to read. I'm going to let Badin perhaps help us with this. Badin, when do you think it's a good idea for them to stop searching? They've initiated the search process. They have a whole bunch of search strings and a whole bunch of data.
Yeah,
What do you think?
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank you both, Tree and Momina, for the search results that you're presenting. I know it's, this can be quite labor intensive, and I think the concept maps are excellent in putting some of this on paper, and especially as a person who's coming into this from the outside perspective, it's very helpful for me to be grounded in what you're doing. So thank you for doing that, and I think it's very helpful for me to understand what's going on. My suggestions are to continue what you're doing here. This is an iterative process. Having gone through this a few times, and also having others, support you in this kind of endeavor is challenging, but I think you're on the right track. You've got to kind of put the search strategy in place for these specific databases. Obviously, we've got many of you that are involved in this in the course. I'd like to just do two things. One is, if I may, just share in the chat a resource that's helped me in the past, and this is developed by one of the health librarians that I've worked with, and some of the students that I've worked with in another setting. We don't need to worry about that, but I think when you go through if you click on that link at whatever point, you'll see that there's steps. But the one thing that the health librarian mentions is that this is an iterative process. So you might, like we said, what Krishna is accurately pointing to is that you're kind of going through this once, you're getting a flavor. What is it that you're finding? Maybe we're not on the right track. We've got to retool, go again through it again and resample and see what we're getting. This leads to my second point, which is I think this is going to be a little bit of trial and error. We're going to have to revise some of these key searches, keywords. And the other benefit is you might want to talk to some of your fellow learners that are working on the other databases, because while you've got certain keywords that are working in Web of Science, there may be certain other ones that are appropriate for other databases. So I'll just give an example. I don't know if anybody's working on this database, but like if you use Medline, Medline will have those mesh headings, and those mesh headings will have explode and implode. So Krishna can add to that. So that might be something that we can develop further along in this. So you got very specific ones with technology that were like specific apps that are, I could say in vogue right now, but maybe there's a general mesh term that will capture all of that in another setting that we can kind of use and capture all the terms you have plus other ones. So I'll just stop right there. I know Krishna wants to add to this.
No, I wasn't. I was just raising my hand to saying I'm the guy responsible for Medline and PubMed.
Oh, you're the one. Okay, all right, perfect. So just as an example, yeah. So yeah, No, I feel free to look at that link. I think it is an iterative process. Don't think you kind of have to go through this once and you get it right. No, you go through it. And sometimes you sample many papers to get a sense. Like when I did this with the health librarian that developed that link for you, for everybody to use, they always ask me, give me like a few papers which you think are really precise on the topic that you're interested in searching, and I will help in developing a search strategy for that. And the other thing is use the expertise that you have, or that we have at Huntington, for example, with Dr. Natasha, to really help us refine, because this is their expertise, right? Like I'm not a health librarian. I'm not an expert on searching databases. But what you have expertise, for example, Tree and Momina, is to look at some of these keywords that are related to the topic area and then go to the expert in searching for them. Those are my 2 cents.
Okay, I have run into a bit of a snag, just kind of going back, and it's something that Dr. Girolami or Natasha has said she would look into for us a little bit more, but exporting our search results into Mendeley, it's not, Mendeley's not one of the bibliographic.
Choices.
Yeah, it's not one of the choices.
So here's the tip. If you don't mind sharing your screen and showing me what the export feature looks like, because you may not see the choice saying Mendeley. All you have to know that that file is called a .ris. I'm going to put that in the text box. If you can export to Zotero, or if you can export to anything, so Mendeley will accept a lot of different options. If you can export it as a .ris file, I'll tell you what all you can do it. I'm just going to share my screen so you can see what all Mendeley accepts. Okay, and it accepts a lot of different formats. And there's my Mendeley right there. And if I want to import, okay, you can see the drop down. You can save it as a .bib, .xml, okay, which is the endnote, a .ris, or a Zotero SQLite, or whatever, however you pronounce it. So there are 4 options that you can potentially save it as. Most bibliographic software, most bibliographic managers will use one of these. I mean, it's horribly bad luck if Web of Science doesn't have any one of these 4. I'd just be very, very surprised. But if you have .bib, .xml, .ris, or .sqlite, you should be okay.
They do have Zotero, so we know at least that I can remember. So we should be okay then.
Yeah, it really should. Yeah, it should work.
I was just going to add the .ris. I think is almost in any database that I've searched to. I think Web of Science has those covered, so I wouldn't be too concerned about it. And if there isn't, we can talk about ways of doing it, but I'd be very surprised if it doesn't, because it's a very mainstream database too.
Okay.
Okay. So I can stop my screen share. But as you can see, so this is Gero 4096, okay? So I think we have about 250 odd. I don't know, Tree, since you haven't added any papers, I'm guessing it's all come from Nisha with an N. I think she's added a whole bunch of papers here. I think she added about 70, 75 the first time around, and then there's more there. And interestingly, there have been no duplicates yet, because that's the first question Mendeley asks you when you open it. There are so many duplicates. Do you want to get rid of them? So that's actually pretty neat. Obviously, we're going to have to start selecting and rejecting papers, but yeah, it's kind of cool. Okay, well, thank you, Tree. I think we have a pretty good flavor for what you're doing. So this is what this whole meeting was about, to meet all the teams and see where they were at. And then the 3 PIs, which is me, Badin, and Nisha, will probably get together and start to narrow terms down. I don't have a complete sense for how many original search items you have yet, Tree. So perhaps the first thing for you and Momina to do is to get together on that Mendeley folder, put all the search results in, get rid of duplicates, and even a quick email to me saying, or yeah, a quick email to say for me to say that, well, this is what your numbers are looking like, and then we can probably have you move that over to the shared folder. That would be the next few steps for you to do. Badin, do you agree? Do you think that's reasonable?
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable.
Okay. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I didn't mean to die. There was a question. Someone said they weren't unable to access that link. I thought it was an open link. Is anybody else having difficulty accessing
No,
it?
I'm
Okay.
able to access it. I was able
Okay,
to
great.
open it. So I don't
Great.
know if something extra got copy pasted
Yeah,
or
maybe
something
just
got
try it
deleted.
again.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It's working for me, so that's fine. Okay, so that's excellent, Tree and Momina. I think you're on the right track, so that's perfect. Artika, how's you've been the team of 1, so you can explain to me about your trials and tribulations with what are you working on? You're working on AgeLine, and yeah, you're starting with AgeLine.
Yes. So I ran into some trouble. My browser wasn't supporting Omni for a while. So I only have maybe like a few days worth of research, but I have something.
So has Omni already taken over? We don't have AgeLine anymore?
No, no. I couldn't access AgeLine through Omni, and both Omni. I couldn't go on Omni or AgeLine. Yeah. So, but then I figured it out a couple days ago. So it's
Okay.
all I have access. So the search terms, I don't have a chart, but I did use a lot of terms like technology, social robots. I used social networks like Facebook. I tried to use Skype, Zoom. I couldn't find any papers that were specific to those. But
Arthika, can I interrupt you? I'm sorry. I just have a quick question for you. Did you talk to Dr. Gerolami?
yeah,
Okay, so you met. Okay, so that part is over.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Only thing yeah, go on. Sorry. So you used all these terms like Facebook and Skype. Okay, go ahead.
And I use I found, let's see, as I was searching, some of the interesting points I found was that many of the articles that I found were more specific to the pandemic COVID-19. So I started doing search that wasn't anything related to the pandemic. And I found some papers about, let's see, like cyber senior programs. So an intergenerational aspect. I found, let's see, one paper that talked about communities. So specifically it was Black communities, and because of the pandemic, they lost the cultural aspect going to the institutions of worship. So they had to remote to virtual communication. And then I thought, okay, well, if this is specific to Black communities, maybe I should start searching other communities. So kind of going away from long-term care and, specifically to different communities. I had some trouble with finding papers on other communities. I was looking for Aboriginal, like Indigenous and all that. I found one paper, but it didn't really highlight much. So I'm hoping maybe the other databases could find stuff on that. But that's
So Arthika, what I'm going to request you to do
yeah.
is make a concept map very similar to what Tree made. It's very organized, very systematic. At this point, I don't want you to be reading single papers in their entirety, if at all possible. So the search needs to be more robust with more synonyms. And if you don't have a clear system in front of you, I fear that you're going to end up replicating searches one thing, you're going to end up missing search terms too. So perhaps a good idea is to just make a tabular form to fill it in with all your different terms. So each time you do a search, it's very clear what you're searching for. Your search results will populate with what those sets of terms gave you, and it's all documentable, right? So it's very clear to see what you did and what your results are and so on. So for example, and this is not a criticism, you've spent time, you've done work, you've spoken to Dr. Gerolami, so that's a very good thing, but this will just help you get better organized. So the moment you see a combination of search terms, you can immediately put an equals and tell me, well, this is the results I got from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this is still early in your search, so it's not a big deal, but this is the time to get organized that way. So have your search terms, and I think that should make life easier for you. You are working solo; it's a little more work for you, but your AgeLine is a little more. It's not going to be that brutal. It's AgeLine. It has a good collection. I'm not sure it's going to give you. We're not expecting the same large numbers that some of the other databases will provide, but still, just be organized, so you can see for yourself what you've done more than anything else. And then when I look through your notebooks or your e-notebooks, then I also know why you've done what you've done, what the rationale is. It's very easy for me to follow.
Okay. I have some articles saved on AgeNet. Should I export them into Mendeley or just
Yeah,
maybe
you can still export them, yeah. And how you found those articles, just have a written rationale for what you did and how you found those articles. Now, moving forward, you're going to have something like a concept map, very similar to what Tree and Momina have done. So yes, you've spent some time, and I think it's good use of the time because you have a flavor for those articles. Like you were clearly able to tell us what's happening with Black people in America, with them being dissociated from their culture because of COVID restrictions. And that's great. What you're doing is you're sampling, and that's wonderful. So you have a sense for what's going on. But what might help you more is the systematic search. So even while you're getting a flavor, you're getting a lot of flavor from a lot of different sources than just one or two papers here and there.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, if I
problem.
can just add, only
Please.
to support. I agree with everything that Krishna has been saying. It makes a lot of sense, and only to say that the reason we probably you're thinking like why so much detail or why do we have to have everything jotted down this way is the reproducibility of it. So someone else can take this search strategy and essentially carbon copy it and get the same results that we do. Like that's very important for a systematic review because there if we for example say that we've searched these databases, we've got x number of articles per these databases, and we give it to Krishna's colleague in Huntington, and they do the same search, they should get the same results as we do, because and that demonstrates that we have a really strong methods, and we've done our homework. So that's really part of the rationale for that, is to make sure that we can reproduce what we're doing here.
Thank you, Bedi. Yeah, 100%. That's the whole point. It's about the trail, right? Again, all of you are in research methods. You understand the rationale for showing the process, right? So this is part of showing the process and the transparency. Okay. All right, Artika, thank you. I like the fact that you've gotten started. You've made your initial connection with Natasha, and you're on your way. So that's exciting. That's very, very good. I guess who do we have? We have Anita and Misha. Anita and Misha, are you guys a team? No, Anita and Alana are a team. Alana can't make it. So Anita, you're going to have to speak for both of you. Where is your team at?
Yeah, okay. So we did met with Natasha, and she went through with us, and we started doing the research. We're just planning to put everything together so we can present it to you. We're still not done. I was trying yesterday. I was even working on it. I was trying to transport the articles that researched for I've searched for to I was trying to transport it to Mendeley, but it was not working for me. So I even I even informed Alana, but she said she's also working on her. So I want to email Natasha again because she said that we can still email her. She'll still help us to get through that. So yeah, I'm still working on it. Yeah.
And that's something I can help you too also with. So what we'll do is, since you and Alana couldn't make it this morning, so why don't you and Alana make a
Okay.
time to meet with
Okay.
me?
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
I think it's important. And
Okay. Sure.
I will also ask Alana to see this video this morning, because this is important for her to see
See.
how a
Yeah.
concept map is created or what it can
Right.
look like. Some people
Right.
do concept map as a flow sheet. Some people do it
Yeah.
as a table like Tree has. It's
Yeah.
entirely up to each person. But
Okay.
and you can even Google concept maps. It's a very common term. You will
Okay.
find different images. Uh,
Okay.
so when we make our meeting, make sure you have your concept map so you can tell me how you searched, what you searched, and then I
Right.
can help you with the export too. That's not a big deal.
Sure. Sure.
So
Thank you so much.
no problem. Both of you chat and email me for a time afterwards so that we can
Sure.
get also going.
Sure. I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay. Misha, I know you just got sorted through all your stuff, so you probably haven't got started yet. Is that a fair guess?
Well, yes. Also, I have yet to hear from my partner, which like we were assigned partners, I think like the day that I actually was put into the class. And then I hadn't heard from her. So I kind of waited a while, but then I was going to message you.
Okay, well, it has been 2 weeks since partners were allocated. I haven't seen, maybe I have seen Kennedy once. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to make sure that, well, I think um, what might work well is Arthika is working by herself. But Arthika, this is something to consider. Would you like to have a partner? Would you like to be a two-person team? We can definitely pair you
Sure,
guys
that's
up.
fine.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, I know I put you on the spot, but you know, you're the team of one, so now you'll have a team. So Misha and Artika, why don't the two of you coordinate? Misha, I know you're a little late to the party, so to speak, but there's a video out there, and this is a second video, so you have a pretty good sense of what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And then the course outline tells you what you need to do in terms of connecting with Dr. Gerolami. Artika already has, so you might want to just quickly connect one-on-one so you get things firsthand from her if she's available. And then the two of you can work together and put your concept map and all of those things moving forward.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you, Artika. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Can you send me your email on the chat, and I'll tonight or tomorrow start sending you what I have, because there's still some work that we have to kind of do. So
For
if you just-
sure.
yeah, thank you.
I just sent it there.
Okay, looks like everybody is all set. Nisha and Badin, do we have more questions for the students? Otherwise, I was going to let them go and continue doing their valuable searches, and we can chat as a team briefly.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice.
I don't know, Nisha, did you have anything further? I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, I have a question to Krishnan. So just want to clarify that I'm a bit confused because Tree has mentioned that the research question is about exploring the role of technology in combating isolation. So would that be the central theme of the inquiry, or have you
Yes.
categorized it for the groups for the time being, and then are we later narrowing it down?
Oh, we will be narrowing it down, but part of that task will be done by the different groups as well.
Okay,
Now,
all right.
in addition to the groups, Badin, you and me have our own databases to search as
Okay,
well,
all right.
right?
Okay, got it.
So we'll all be doing. So it's just the power of having so many databases. You know, I'm exploiting the power of the size of the team. That's the objective of doing it this way, and the students actually contribute to basically to research and to their own understanding and learning. So that was the whole idea anyway.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem, and we'll hang around a little bit. I don't know. I don't have anything more to say to students because everything looks like it's working to a plan so far. I will. So to all you students, I will. We will make individual appointments as needed moving forward, just because I want to connect and figure out where you're at with your search and how it's progressing and so on, and how we're narrowing down different terms. Tree.
I just have a question about the continuum of care, long-term care. So should I eliminate in my concept map the terms that have to do with the continuum of care? Will that be an impediment, do you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it would, and it would confound the issue. It's about having a searchable question, and what that does is it makes the question too broad. I don't know if Badin agrees with me. I'll just leave it. I'll say that that's my opinion of one. Okay, and Badin is the most experienced in doing SRs amongst all of us here. So, you know, Badin, feel free to jump in.
No, I agree with you. I think that makes sense. You know, if I can just, you know, go back to that resource that I shared, the question is the foundation of what everything is built on, right? So we have to have the question nailed, and I think Krishna has elucidated that to the team. So I think we're all on the right page and making sure we keep that clear focus. And one of the points in that resource talks about this idea. I don't want to get into it, but just look at the difference between precision versus sensitivity, and it has a chart to explain what it means. You might want to look at that as you're looking at your keywords. And I would, you know, again, we're very fortunate that we have Dr. Natasha to rely on to, you know, bounce ideas off the search strategy. This is their, I'm not saying to overwhelm them with work and giving them work to do, but if you have questions, you know, that's get their expertise on I'm doing this. Do you think it's the right track? You know, like that's where they can add a little bit of color, and their experience is going to take us the next mile. And I just wanted to finish by saying thank you very much to all the teams, all of you, for
Yeah.
the work that you're doing. I really appreciate it. I know Krishna does, so does Nisha. You know, this is not easy by any stretch of the imagination, and doing this, if many of you, maybe it's your first time doing it, so it's a lot of work, and we wanted to recognize you for the great work that you're doing. So thank you very much.
Good job, guys. 100%. Thank you, Vedin. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to ask all the students, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But other than that, you're free to go as the three of us discuss how we start to tune in and how we start to finesse the search results and so on. And then I will communicate that to all the students in the class as well, so we know how we're moving forward. Okay?
Thank you.
No problem. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.